is very unique in its own right, that what area I think could see more thunderstorms. And then tomorrow's the only day that I really see that is sticky compared to overly humid. So we'll take that as some optimism.
As the drier day.
Yeah, so our drier day is just kind of
just
sticky.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll take what we can get. But sometimes in June, you will have those big drops. Truly what you need is a cold front to swoop in some cool Canadian air, and then we linger for a couple of days, and then it's up back to normal. We don't really have that setup, and that's one of the complicated things. So let's first look over our Dallas camera. If we had a time lapse of this, you would have noticed that you couldn't see anything over the last hour or two. This is really the process, the way that fog and low-level clouds will burn off. So as the temperature starts to warm, the fog or the ground clouds will start to lift and rise. Same thing for low-level stratus. And then eventually it starts to get spent, and then you start to see more breaks, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. This is going to give way to a little bit more sunshine. It has not been a beautiful start to the day. I understand, and I'm sorry about that. But
yes, your fault.
Yeah, hey, I have to take responsibility. I am the messenger, and then people like to blame me.
Yep, they do.
But the rare occasion they'll actually give me kudos when the weather is nice. More so the blame than the kudos.
So easy.
But that's okay. C'est la vie, the life of a weatherman.
Yep.
Here's a look at our uptown camera. Even if you look off in the distance, you're like, it's still pretty cloudy. It's a brighter cloudy. So we're going to have that certainly for the closure of the morning. But the time that I think you need the umbrella most likely is really between about 3 and 9. That's what I'm calling for. I think late afternoon to the early evening. That's usually the typical timing. And we'll show the reason why. We also have a low chance for a severe thunderstorm. That's also kind of with the forecast in this time of year. But I want to show you the warmest days of 2025. I thought this was interesting. Now, it is June. It's warmer, so you expect this. But Saturday the 7th, Friday the 6th, and then yesterday the 9th were our 3 warmest days. So the 3 warmest days we've had of 2025 have come over the last 4. And today is a separation from that rule. We only have 85 degrees. However, we're going to have a real feel around 89 because it is so humid. So don't discount that. Also, the big driver of the forecast is this front. Now, it's a cold front now, but really what it is a quasi-stationary front. All right, everyone say quasi-stationary front.
Quasi-stationary front.
That sounds great. So what that means is kind of a front that's doing one of these. It's just wiggling around. So you never know what it's going to do. Like, where am I going to be? Am I going to be over here? Am I going to be over here?
Yeah.
That's the complication of the forecast. You got a wiggly Chris line all over the place. And if you know me, I'm all over the place. Where's he going to be? That's exactly where the front is. So that's why they call me stationary front. No one does that, but maybe now they do.
Stationary front, thank you.
But this is actually going to have some sort of movement today. And that's why I think that we can track things a little bit better than we otherwise could. Today's actually probably one of the more trackable days, just like we had yesterday. So that's why we have this yellow line. And the further east that you go, I think the storms could get a little bit stronger. And the areas in the gray doesn't mean you're not going to have a strong thunderstorm. This is just where things are a little bit more likely. So right on the cusp, I think this is more of a weather impact window, so really about 3 to 9. High of 85 degrees, 86 is the norm. So that's not really unusual. But notice some of the temperatures I have here. 83 at 2 actually feels more like 87. 84 feels more like 88. And that means the 85 will feel kind of like 89. Sometimes it will get a little bit drier in the afternoon. Nope, that doesn't happen today. So let's take a closer look at where the strongest storms will be. So pretty much that graphic I just showed you with the yellow, this is the same thing, but you can see the precipitation over it a little bit better. So all of us are within the thunderstorm zone. It's just southeast and east of that yellow line is where things get a little bit stronger. And check it out. You see actually a little bit more definition of this line by about 3 o'clock, and that brings it over Gastonia and Lincolnton, and then about 4 to 5 o'clock across the Charlotte area. I have seen some indications that this could slow down. That's why I still want to keep that window of opportunity about 3 to 9 o'clock, where I think that really the early evening could be some of the more prevalent area storms. Kind of saw that yesterday. But then notice by 11 o'clock, we still have that potential. So this is one of those systems that I think will continue to go through the duration of this evening and eventually will wind down through the early morning hours, which, by the way, if the clouds do clear, you'll be able to see the full moon, the full strawberry moon. I know, it's the most delicious moon I have here, much better than the worm moon.
Yeah.
3:44 is when it's full. This is actually one of the lowest angles for a full moon. It's only about 30 degrees. I've seen some conflicting stats. This is the lowest it's been in a decade or two. I just can't really confirm that at that point. point. It's just super low. So that means that really I think the best view is going to be between about midnight and 2. However, we will have some clouds at that point. But I'm really showing you this. If anything weird happens, you know why. The full moon, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Moon.
It's like, man, why is this person acting this way? Full moon.
Full moon.
So parents with toddlers, watch out. That's including me. Here's a closer look at that wiggly crystalline as I've been describing it. Here's a good example. So what happens is tomorrow morning, okay, it's down to the southeast. This would usually mean, hey, you don't have to worry about anything. Because whenever you have one of these draped over an area, it's usually within 25 miles of this line because that's what lifts things. Once you hit the peak heating of the day, that's where the storms are. But it forgot something. So it comes back to Charlotte, which I think is mainly going to impact our Thursday forecast. But this is just kind of a fun way of showing you that, hey, it's a really undefined forecast after this because we don't really know what that front's going to do. Sometimes it's maddening. It could last for weeks, or just a couple of days. But that's why I only have a spotty to isolated chances on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because it just depends where that front's going to be. Then we have a closer nearby front on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. This is where I think we have a better chance for more of those numerous storms. Here's a look at what Wednesday could look like. Still to the southeast, we see a majority of the storms. Some could bend back a little bit further. Your Thursday, I think that you see a few bubbling up during the afternoon, a little bit closer to the access to that front. And then beyond that, I think for the weekend, it's a slightly better chance for storms. Just like Jane asked, when's the window? Before 2. So this is summertime, y'all. And I don't really have anything too crazy for you. We know what it's like living in here in the Carolinas. It's been a while since we've had those daily pop-up thunderstorms. They can be great if you don't want to be outside anymore. They can be terrible if you have any outdoor plans. So what I've been telling people, kids' birthday parties, et cetera, do it before 2. I don't think you really have too much to worry about. So that's good news. I have a tea time on Saturday, and I'm not worried. So there's jokes about the weatherman telling you, hey, don't go out there for the tea times. No, I'm not worried at this point that it's going to rain. Yeah, mine's at 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go to sleep in.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Yeah, you usually get up around 6 or so anyways. I'll just take whenever I can get. I rarely golf. Plus, I'm pretty terrible. So I should have went earlier so less people would see me. All right, so our 7-day forecast, 84 to 89. Each day a thunderstorm chance. Tomorrow is the only day that's just sticky with a low chance for rain and storms. So I'm saying that every day repeats itself. We can just say it's summer, y'all.
It's summer. Quasi-stationary front.
You didn't mention any shrimp.
No shrimp, which is good. We don't want shrimp.
We don't want shrimp.
These are more individual guys. You might have some shrimp-esque storm formations, but it's not like yesterday. Yesterday, I think the storms were a lot more active, better environment for that. We still could see it, but it just doesn't have the same drive, I don't think.
It was a nice, robust thunder.
Ooh, I like that, the robust.
Late last night.
Yeah, and in that type of environment, you have something that's called an inversion. So that literally, it kind of blocks it, so it makes it sound actually louder because it insulates the sound. So we had that yesterday. I want to show one more thing that I was mentioning earlier in our WCNC Plus between 7 and 9. So the sunrise this morning is 6:08. That's the earliest sunrise time that we're going to have for the rest of the year. It's actually the middle of June, no matter where you are. I looked up Cincinnati, Ohio. Theirs typically spans around the same time, just ends the 21st. This goes until the 19th for us. So we still have some times at 6:08, so you'll be able to remember the sunrise time. Then it moves to 6:09. And I think one of the worst things that I hear each summer solstice is people get bummed saying it's only downhill from here. I would just say that it's only a slight decline from here because look at the difference. The longest day of the year, which is usually the summer solstice and the following day, you have 14 hours, 32 minutes, and 1 second of daylight. So that's from sunrise to sunset. That's the period of daylight. A month later, on July 20th, you only lose 21 minutes. That's not really noticeable. It's August that you see that real vast change. It's about an hour. So don't immediately think about the losing of daylight right away.
Here.
Yeah, think positive because other people is like, oh, well, downhill from here. It's like, no,
What is that?
that glass is half full.
That's
And
right.
you're barely losing a minute per day. So yes, this is the earliest time for our sunrises. Yes, that is technically the longest period of daylight or the longest day, as people like to put it. I just want people to remain optimistic, even with our storm chances in that scenario. So that was my final note.
Absolutely. Plus, it's going to be stickier and stickier. I'm going to want to stay inside
Exactly.
in the AC.
Oh,
So-
yeah. I absolutely loved I was doing yard work, and I was like, it's about to storm, dang. Oh, no. I would love to continue doing this.
Yeah.
So sorry. All right, quasi-stationary front.
It's a smooth nickname, you know, rolls right off the
Yeah,
tongue.
doesn't it?
A lot of syllables.
All right. Thank you so much,
Of
Chris,
course.
for coming in. That is your weather alert. No, weather impact weather today.
Some impacts.
Some impacts.
Some impacts.
Potential impacts. All right. Thanks for coming in again.
Always a pleasure.